Hi, guys, and welcome to the Human Biography Podcast. On today's episode, I have my dear friends, Aneesh and Buck. Welcome to this episode.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And so I want to talk about the evolution of you two meeting and creating Holder.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I want to do, in your own words, describe what is Holder and what moment sparked this great idea. Tell me about it.
Maybe let me start off with the moments that sparked the idea. For us, we've always been very passionate about music and artist development, especially in a city like Vancouver where we didn't see a big infrastructure for music. There was always a lot of talent, but the infrastructure to support that talent and incubate that talent was pretty much non-existent.
Well, people trying to leave town to make their big escape or their big,
Well,
leap
it's tech
into
music, Vancouver, you kind of have you get to a certain place, you're like, okay, now it's time to go to the States or Toronto or whatever that is. And yeah, music, especially Vancouver, there are some players, but you don't really have too much really kind of youthful culture and events and things constantly happening like Toronto and some of these other cities. So
and tell me, I remember you were building Chaos Club. Right? I remember that, and it was being inside this machine. And what did you see that you wanted to build outside of that? That's what I want to talk about. And you can talk a bit about Chaos Club as well.
Yeah.
So
realistically, Holder is just the evolution of Chaos Club. Yeah. So Chaos Club was a hybrid music company that we built where it was a group of us that were really interested in music and artists, all had different skill sets, but no one really had a platform to utilize that skill set in a way that kind of bridges the other people that were also interested in music. So I said, hey, let's come together, different skill sets, virtually no experience, no expertise, no relationships, no capital. But it's like a small group of people that were like-minded and very passionate about music.
Sure.
And we look at Holder as the evolution of that because the goal of Chaos Club was always to be an ecosystem for artists, that we would work with artists, we would combine our skill sets and combine the resources that we did have to help the artists grow and scale. And Holder is the evolution in the sense that we're not doing that on an artist-to-artist basis. It's about building a platform that many artists can use, whether that's 10, 100, 1,000, and eventually 10,000 artists. Whereas Chaos Club, we were doing that, but we're doing that on a one-to-one basis.
Sure. Tell me about the scale of this opportunity.
well, I mean, like Buck's saying, obviously there's 12 million artists, and even if we just capture a few thousand of that alone, one genre, one region of artists, it could be something category defining in music and kind of change the way that fan engagement works right now, because I'm sure you know kind of the way music works is streaming is the main income source for artists right now.
Yeah.
And right now a stream is around 0.003 to 4 or 5 cents a stream.
Wow.
So even getting 100,000 streams is very hard, and if you do that, that's around $300, $500.
Yeah.
And then that's before any splits, any costs. So the way the music industry works is just not really fair right now for artists. And the biggest thing, kind of like Buck's saying, while running the label, is under monetization. These artists, they have the talent, they have the community still. You can have hundreds of thousands of listeners and millions of streams, but that's still not enough revenue to even cover your costs. Mm-hmm. So it's how do you effectively monetize and bring these early supporters, these day one fans in that want to support. And that's kind of where there's so much potential in that 1,000 true fans, and that's kind of the power of it. And I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Famous internet
Kevin
essay.
Kelly's,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's cool because we had a short kind of convo with Kevin Kelly, and
you did?
He kind of validated the platform too, which was pretty cool to hear from him himself. But obviously, you double down on the top 10% of your fans, the ones who are actually spending money, sharing, engaging.
Yeah.
You get 1,000 people willing to put up $100 a year for you.
Yes.
Effectively $100K salary right there. So there's so much power in these niche communities, but no one's really building for them. Artists are really thinking of them, and there's not really any tools to bring them into those journeys and actually have them as these long-term connections. Amazing. Where right now everything in music is just focused around volume and quantity and these kind of fickle short-term connections where we just realize that doesn't really make any sense, or there's nothing really in it for the artists or their fans.
Tell me how the system works. How do you do artists find you? Do you find artists, and then what is the ecosystem that they get into when that happens?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a bit of both. We find artists find us. Yeah. So the Holder ecosystem works by connecting artists to their top supporters. Yeah. And the core of the platform is the Holder Clubs, which is the private members community. So essentially, a fan buys a one-time membership to an artist club. Yeah. That membership gives them access to perks. Perks can be related to products and merchandise, can be related to tickets, can be related to access to music. So, for example, if you wanted to start your own holder club, you would say, my fans get early access to tickets, or they get early access to merchandise or products, or the membership comes with tickets, or the membership is the meet and greet to your upcoming tour. It's really flexible up to the artist. And it's very transparent, so the fan understands what they're getting when they buy the membership. The artist just sets a minimum amount, and while the memberships are capped at 1,000, they're released gradually. So the idea was, especially for emerging artists, you want your fans to grow alongside you. So you could launch your first 20 memberships, and that's how maybe you fund your next tour or you fund your next music video. Now you have this community of people that want to support you and get behind you. And then as you keep on growing in your career, you launch your next batch of memberships. All the while, the fans can hold their memberships, hence the name Holder, or sell it to other fans on the Holder marketplace, on the fan marketplace. So the point is not for people to buy and sell these. The point is for people to support. But if the fan, wants to sell the membership, they have the flexibility to do that. So that's just the membership side of it. Now, beyond your 1,000 supporters that are part of your club, at Holder, we centralize everything happening in an artist's career. So all of their music, all of their products, all of their tickets, all of their content, even from other social media platforms. It's one interface where you can basically see all the content, making it a much easier experience to navigate, because, artists are battling with the economics of the industry, but they're also battling with algorithms. So they might post something and someone might follow them, but they might not be able to see that post just because, a lot of the time the algorithms are black boxes. You don't know how it works, why it works, how things rank, and that sort of thing. So on Holder, we wanted to create a space where if you're an artist, everything that you're doing in one place, your fans don't have to run around to kind of stay up to date, as well as it updates itself. So it's not something that you have to maintain and manage all the time. You just connect your other channels and then we centralize and update it on your profile as we go.
And do these artists need to be established artists? Are they emerging artists? Because, certain fan bases are not there right away, but does this help them get their fans as well?
No, 100%. And that's kind of our bread and butter is those emerging artists. And right now the artists on Holder, like the smallest have maybe 500 followers on Instagram, but the music is just next level. Like they could be headlining festivals. They have the potential. Like I could see them on radio stations around the world. Like they just have the superstar potential, but right now they just don't have the quantity or the volume to see any impactful returns from their music right now. But their music is just insane. So it's like, how do you really allow the talent to monetize? And that's why on Holder, they're still able to make $1,000 by just focusing on those top fans and those day ones that want to say, hey, I was there early. I found this artist before they were now headlining these festivals. I want to be recognized.
This technology is based on fan psychology, right? So we talk about the idea of the anti-fan club, right? You're looking at, can you explain the psychology behind that? And how that really works? Tell me about that. Because I've heard this, and I want to really go deeper into that. So what is that all about?
I guess Let's say like fan clubs right now, like personally, Buck and I, we're not using the word fan clubs or super fans because I think there's a connotation around those words.
Absolutely.
Personally, I think they sound a bit cringe. Like no one wants to be known as a super fan of their favorite artist.
That sounds stalkerish a little bit.
It does, and also like fan clubs too. You have this like kind of stigma around it where you think of a monthly subscription for access, and obviously subscription fatigue is a massive thing. But that's your traditional model you've seen for any fan engagement platform ever. It's always you pay every month and you get this certain level of access. And in that, there's just so many caveats. And like the biggest thing is it's all short term. It's like everyone's on a monthly timer. So as an artist, you feel like you're on this treadmill where every month you got to offer something because you're worried about all of these subscribers unsubscribing and churn rate. And this model works for different verticals like educational content creators, YouTubers, where you're making content on this cycle, you have extra stuff to put out. But artists, it's not always like that. They're creatives, every month's different. So it's like, how do you work with what they're doing? And that's something very important for holders. How do you tie into what these artists are already doing and what those existing activities are? So on Holder, you own your membership. So I'm not worried if August 1st comes around and I don't get a sticker pack from this artist because I know in 2 months they're going on tour and they've offered free tickets to their members. So I'll get tickets down then. So I'm still involved. I'm still active, but they're not always okay. Like I have to offer this, this, and this.
When people are invited to this membership.
Right.
Do they step up right away? They love this artist. They go on. Like, how does that work? Yeah.
So essentially, an artist would make a post or reach out to their fans, and it's actually a very interesting mechanism. So it's done as a bid. So the artist will say, next Friday at noon, I'm launching my Holder Club, and it's going to be live for 2 hours. So the fans or the supporters have a limited amount of time to buy the membership. And how it works is the artist sets a minimum. So let's say as an artist, and again, the minimum can be $20, $50, $1,000. It's really dependent on the artist, where they're at in their career, and the fan base, and what they're offering as part of their club. Now, because you're releasing your memberships gradually, you'll say, hey, 20 memberships live next Friday at noon. If more than 20 people want to buy the membership, though, the people can update their bids.
Absolutely.
So that's the mechanism. It's like you allow artists to set the minimum that they want, but you don't cap what a fan is willing or a supporter is willing to buy it for.
That's interesting. So you've probably seen artists make thousands of dollars within hours.
For sure.
So what surprised you most for these early launches? What's happening? Like what have you seen?
Yeah, I think a big thing, and it almost kind of touches on the anti-fan club thing, whereas I think subscriptions and fan clubs are a transaction versus Holder is a relationship. And I think that's one of the things we've seen, the connection that builds between artists and fans when you don't focus on the transaction and you focus on the relationship. You focus on understanding value on both sides, on the artist side and on the supporter side as well. And I think that's been really refreshing for us to see, where you see that emotional investment on the fan side, and you also see the artists connecting on a much deeper level with their supporters and the people that are part of their clubs and communities.
It's been crazy to see like some of the buy-in from these artists too, on like what they're offering when you like give them that creative flexibility and that freedom of not this monthly standard. It's like some of these artists on Holder that have launched, like one of the guys, he's like just a creative like genius, like has all these big ideas. He's like, for my first 10 members, can I hand make them a wooden ring? So he literally wood shopped a ring and numbered each of them and sent it to his first 10 members. But that's something just
like
so
a collector's item.
Exactly, so impactful,
That's
so
nice.
unique. But like you go on like a monthly subscription platform and you're like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. It doesn't make sense because he made around $1,300 from 10 people. But for something like on a monthly subscription platform, you need at least 50 people paying.
If they're there.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they're there.
We're on Holder, and you can't make 50 rings. So it's like, how do you allow these people to offer these impactful experiences that tie into what they're already doing and kind of create these just kind of next level engagements for those top fans?
So what I've noticed, beyond the music, there's influencers in all aspects in all industries, right? And so Holder is not just looking at music. There's a technology here that you could actually white label to any industry.
For sure.
And so let's talk about that opportunity of Holder's mechanism, the technology to work with people that are outside, like podcasters, creators, beyond the music. So what's the common thread with all of those? Like what helps in all of them?
I think what helps with all of them, again, it just comes back down to community and the sense of belonging and the sense of being rewarded for supporting, or at least authenticating the fact that you were early or that you were supporting early. Because our core belief is that, if I'm supporting an artist from day one, I should have the ability to buy tickets maybe easier than someone that just started supporting the artist today, right? Like at the basis. And that sort of mechanism can be applied to other things in sports, in restaurants, in podcasting, in anything. Our focus is music, and we want to get critical mass there because, that's what we understand, that's what we live and breathe. But eventually, we're still looking and exploring opportunities.
They've kind of presented themselves to us too. Like we've had sports leagues reach out. Like there's been people that say like NIL athletes would be insane for something like this because there's so much community around these athletes from their hometowns to their high schools, colleges, pro teams. But like Buck's saying, music's kind of where we live and breathe for the last 10 years.
And some of these musicians become like other things,
Exactly.
actors and stuff like that, so they bring in a different type of thing.
So they can transform, evolve.
They themselves could alternate their genre within Holder
100%,
as well.
yeah.
That's very interesting.
Or like the example that Aneesh gave, that's an example of someone that is an artist beyond music, taking that skill set and merging it in with their music. And we have other artists that paint and say, hey, I'm going to raffle off a painting every 6 months and only the holders can buy it. So you can merge these different worlds together.
Yeah.
So you guys are backed from leaders from organizations like Live Nation, Hootsuite. What kind of, what does that support? What does that unlock for you? Yeah.
I think the strategic relationships really give us context in understanding the problem that we're trying to solve for, and also understanding the players that are involved, the incentives that each different player has, and how we can build something that cohesively works with any artist without creating friction for that artist as far as record labels or as far as touring and everything else. So it gives us a good understanding to see how can we build something where the incentives line up on the artist and fan side, but doesn't clash or becomes an issue of friction with any other component of the music industry.
But also pipeline. Like for the artist pipeline right now, like since launching with these, I guess, more emerging artists and having these kind of crazy results and use cases, we have these artists that have 5, 10 million listeners, like some of the most respected names in the culture. And that's a big thing for us too, is like artists that are in the culture, like artists that we genuinely listen to, like they have that full potential, like we see the creative direction pieces, all of this in place. Cause like we always say too, and I think there was a little music tech hype phase there, and you could really tell the type of artists that use those platforms. They aren't the artists that are usually in the culture that you see on the festival bills. It's a different type of artist. So it's like, how do you get those artists that are in the culture using these new technologies? And that's our approach. It's like, how do you kind of make it in a very artist-friendly way and kind of show them the value of these kind of somewhat daunting technologies in a way that kind of phased approach to it.
As you grow this, and as it grows, both organically and through people following all their favorite people, what does success look like for you the next 2 to 3 years with this project? Yeah.
Success to us is a more equitable music industry where an artist of any size is able to monetize and reach their fan base. Whether that's 10 people or 10 million people, success to us is creating a more equitable system that allows artists to monetize and engage their top supporters. And success is an artist starting off on Holder at one stage of their career, and then in 3-4 years, powered by Holder or powered by the community on Holder, gets to that next level, like Aneesh mentioned, where you're starting off, the music is already there, the talent is there, but we want to be part of that journey to getting you onto headlining the Coachellas and all the big festivals.
And to say that like equitable industry piece goes also beyond artists, is like, because like Buck and I understand around artists, there's so many people that help behind the scenes, from the managers, A&Rs, producers, graphic designers, whatever it is.
Media.
But they don't have tools, they don't have the recognition, they don't have new opportunities. So that's something that we also take a lot of pride on and focus on, is like, how do you bring new value to them too, and give them kind of some recognition and kind of chances that other platforms don't really even look at.
What do you want to take away from this personally in your own careers? What is meaningful for you in this work?
Man, it's so hard for me to answer, because for me, Holder is a culmination of everything I've ever loved. When we first met almost 10 years ago, I was doing a streetwear brand, a clothing brand, and then after that, did Chaos Club, and then after that, within Chaos Club, we did events, and Holder is all of these things in one, where we help artists with merch, and we make our own Holder merch, and we help curate these events and experiences, and we're working with artists day to day. So for me, it's hard to say what this does for my career, because I feel like this is the culmination of everything I've ever wanted to do, or everything I've ever loved. Beautiful. As far as work and creativity.
Tell me about you, Aneesh. What does this mean for you?
I mean, same as me. Like, you kind of know I've grown up in that world too, so I kind of knew business was what I had to do, but didn't know how that would work. But like, I just grew up with music was my biggest passion, and like, I started my first music business when I was 15. So I kind of just organically grew in this world, and then when I met Buck, I was, I think, 18. And then we just kind of worked together for about 5-6 years, and then amidst that, you just kind of see all of the issues in the industry. So that's kind of where Holder kind of began. But like, it doesn't even feel like work or my career. It's just like my life. It's just kind of been what I've lived in since I was a kid. So it's just, I think, just so organic. It just has to be Holder, and it just makes so much sense.
What I think a lot of people know is, so Buck alluded to this, that I've known him for over 10 years. I've probably known Aneesh for half his life, if not more, is that they're younger than me, probably like a lot younger than me. Won't go into that. But the point is this, is that we've met each other in different parts of life. And I remember it was about 10 years ago that I met another friend of ours, Sam. And I remember going, oh, I thought I was going to mentor this young man, but he actually started mentoring me. He was like half my age. And I started to see this idea that learning is not coming this way, it's coming from all directions. It's not an ageism thing. It's not a who knows more. It's not who has the most experience. It's like, who has knowledge to share. And I I came to a group of people and you were part of that group. And so the knowledge and the evolution that I've seen you take through, when you said I'm doing this, I was like, interesting. And then when you said you're doing it with Aneesh, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. Because I knew you from two different walks of life, and for you to come together, bring your superpowers together and your passions, this has got to be beautiful. So I'm very, very excited for you both. So if you could speak to a rising creator, a star, a singer, a composer, what would you say to them in terms of building their future?
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. Like I was just in New York, and I had like a probably 3-hour conversation with a really talented artist out there, and we were just kind of talking about this, and kind of like really good analogy is like, I mean, obviously in music, consistency is the biggest thing, but it's like one of the biggest artists I know right now, his first song that blew up was an accident. He didn't even mean to release it. Like he accidentally uploaded it through DistroKid, and it ended up getting a few million streams. And then his second song was a Drake remix. But that first song he didn't even know he released it until it was already doing well. And then like we were telling him tips like, okay, update, put another song out, put your Instagram in your bio. And he's like, I can't. He's like, I don't even have access to my page. But it's like, you just gotta take these chances because you never know what's gonna land or who's gonna pick it up or how it's gonna get picked up. And it's kind of like, we were talking with this artist, like I mentioned, it's like, you have a basket of stones. It's like you just got to keep on throwing stones until one lands on the roof. It's like you can't wait for all of the factors of the wind and the sunlight and everything to be at the perfect place. You just got to keep on throwing until one lands. Because a lot of artists, they have a basket of rocks and they'll just keep them close to them, and none of these songs will even see the light of day ever. But some of the best songs you've probably ever heard, they're just no reason to put them out. I don't know. It's weird.
Sure, take a chance. And I would say for me, I think so. The question was, what would I tell a young creative or musician? I think one piece of advice I would say is see the world as it should be, not as it is. What I mean by this is just because the industry is organized a certain way or things have been done a certain way doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. Doesn't even mean that's the right way to do it. So, you just have to take that chance. And have the courage to try and not be afraid to fail. And it connects to what Aneesh said is like, throw those rocks, give it a shot, and don't accept the status quo as inherent reality. So just because things work in a certain way doesn't mean that's number one, how they should be, or that number two, that's the only way they can be. So, and that's kind of what we did, looking at the music industry and seeing how does monetization work? How does community work? This is how it works. That's not good enough for us. Let's see the world as it should be, as opposed to just accepting what is.
Wow. So we are sitting in July of 2025. What do you want people to know about Holder today? And what do you want them to do after this interview? To reach you, connect with you? What would you like?
Would like them to sign up, holder.com, HOLDR.com. So that's the first step.
Yeah, great.
That's the first step. If there's one thing we'd ask them to do is that.
Yeah. So on today's episode, we talked to two people that I strongly believe in, not just because I know them personally, but because what they do is because of passion. And what we do is because we're passionate about it. We didn't follow any rules on how I created my own career or what we do. We land, we create, and we just see what we put out there. And we do it with love, we do it with passion, and we do it because we care. And so everybody out there who cares about an artist, who knows an artist, you might be an artist that really wants to thrive and grow, check out Holder. Check out these young gentlemen here and just know that we're here to support you. Thank you for watching.